So, the Dallas Cowboys preseason is over. But leave it to the Dallas Cowboys to make the last preseason game must-watch TV. Most of the time, the last preseason game is dress rehearsal for the starters and the people who have made the team. Typically, it's just a little bit more playing time for some who may need a little bit more experience or for players who are on the bubble. But no, leave it to the Cowboys to make it must-watch TV because they put Trey Lance on the big stage, because it's the big stage. He's a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, and everyone knows that this is not just about can Trey Lance play football? Can he make the team? No, Jerry announced he'd already made the team. Everyone knows if they're true with themselves. What we were watching was Jerry Jones' last-ditch effort to try and use Trey Lance as a bargaining chip against Dak Prescott. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy lovers and Cowboy haters alike. I am the G, and this is Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk all about the Dallas Cowboys, but we talk facts. I'm going to give you 5 takeaways from this preseason game. Going into this preseason game, many people were talking about a few players, but I'm only going to mention 3. And my first takeaway is Ryan Flournoy. I said it before, I say it again. Ryan Flournoy is an absolute beast. This man is the next coming of Dez Bryant. I mean, we're just looking at him right now. He's playing with the second and third team, and he is doing damage. He's a great route runner. He's got great size. He's got great hands. He's got great instinct. He is going to be a major player for the Dallas Cowboys, and he showed up again tonight. Even while not playing with the best players, he still showed up, and he did a great job. Ryan Flournoy, yes, he's made the roster. And the Cowboys have a decision to make. I hope they don't even try to play around with Ryan Flournoy. You mess around and try to cut Ryan Flournoy and then bring him back to the practice squad, he won't be there. I guarantee you there are teams that are salivating, hoping that Ryan Flournoy that Ryan Flournoy, for whatever reason, the Cowboys would cut him. Because I'm telling you, he would be picked up the same night. Ryan Flournoy is a stud, and he is going to be a major player in the future of the Cowboys. And I'm not going to be surprised if we see a lot of him this year. I believe he moves up the depth chart. Ryan Flournoy, congratulations. I believe, without a doubt, you have made the team. Takeaway number 2, Deuce Vaughn. Once again, everyone is saying the deuce is loose. While I'm still not convinced that Deuce Vaughn could necessarily be a starting running back, I still need to see a little bit more. There is no doubt in my mind that Deuce Vaughn has skill. Deuce Vaughn being 5'5", I thought he was 5'7", but they say he's 5'5", but nevertheless, he's 180 pounds. Deuce Vaughn deserves to be on the team. He has shown, even with his size, he can run between the tackles, but I think maybe his size will be an advantage because he runs so low, he's so shifty that by the time people see him, it might be too late. He's already running past you. So Deuce Vaughn, again, he's shown he's got some moves. He's got some speed. He's got some power. He's definitely got some skill. I think we are going to see Deuce Vaughn on the field a little bit more and maybe a lot more for the Cowboys this year. Deuce Vaughn for sure. Deuce Vaughn, congratulations. I believe you've made the team. Takeaway number 3. I won't mention any other players specifically, but I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys draft extremely well. They have shown it year after year after year. They draft well. When you look at the players, they have been playing I mean, these third, fourth, fifth string guys, man, these guys are playing good. I mean, I think they have found some things out there, especially when you start talking about the cornerback room, the wide receiver room, what they've done on the offensive and defensive line, and even when you look at linebacker. I mean, the Cowboys have really put together a great draft over the last few years, as they always do. And I think this draft this year, while I was a little sketchy, I think this is a great draft for the Cowboys. I think they answered a lot of questions, like with Guyton, with BB. I mean, I think they really filled in a lot of places, a lot of needs on the football team that are going to pay dividends as they go further into the season. So without mentioning in depth any other players, they got a lot of decisions to make, because I think we're going to see some of these players on other people's teams in the future, because it's just hands down. Will McClay, this guy could be a GM for any other team. He truly could be a GM for any other team. I actually think the Cowboys would even be better off if they listened to him even more. I would love to see him go to work in free agency and not just in the draft. But that leads me to my fourth takeaway. Takeaway number 4. Before I talk about Trey Lance, I think I must first talk about Jerry and Stephen Jones. Jerry and Stephen Jones, I like Jerry Jones. I really do. I think Jerry Jones, when I think about who he was in the 90s, when I think about what he's done for football in general, when we think about how football has grown and TV deals and stadiums, and I mean, Jerry Jones, there is a reason why he's in the Hall of Fame, and it's definitely not for being a GM, it's for being an owner. Jerry Jones, to me, is a great owner. But the problem with Jerry and Stephen Jones is that they're terrible GMs. Will McClay goes a long way towards helping them do some of the things they do in the draft. But they are terrible GMs when it comes to free agency, when it comes to how they deal with their players. We still got Dak Prescott with no contract. We still have CeeDee Lamb with no contract. And we know we got Micah Parsons coming up, and that is going to be another scuffle the Cowboys are going to have. They seem to be the only team I know of that bickers as much as they do with their star players, and they always try to do it in the court of public opinion. And so Jerry and Stephen Jones are terrible. They're terrible. And the reason why I'm saying they are terrible is because they make terrible football decisions. I mean, they're obviously making some good business decisions, like I've told you what they've done for the NFL. But even when you look at the Dallas Cowboys are worth $10 billion. I think they're I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are the most valuable sports franchise in the world. And if they're not, they're definitely in the top 2 or 3 now. But they make great business decisions. But I think a part of their problem is their business decisions spill over into the GM decisions. And I think that some of what Jerry does is he likes to create chaos. He likes to create drama. He likes to do these things because they bring a lot of attention to the team. So, like I said tonight, a third preseason, a final preseason game, Jerry Jones turned it into a must-watch football game. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. Everyone wanted to see how Trey Lance was going to do, because Jerry Jones has done this indirectly, but in my eyes, directly. He's trying to use Trey Lance as a bargaining chip against Dak Prescott. Almost as if he's saying, Dak, if you don't sign, we got Trey Lance. And I believe he was really hoping Trey Lance was going to light up the preseason so that he could really negotiate with Dak Prescott. Give the team a team-friendly deal. No more no trade clause. We want the ability to be able to cut you in two. So if Trey Lance develops the way we want him to, we can cut you and get from under your salary, blah, blah, blah. I believe these are the things that are going on behind closed doors. Jerry Jones is terrible for this. Steven and Jerry are terrible for this. They're not just trying to develop. They were not just trying to develop Trey Lance. They tried to use him deceitfully against Dak Prescott. And we can call it a business all we want to, but you know what? I got another video I'm gonna make about this situation. But players should be watching the way Jerry and Steven treat their stars. They really should. Yes, they pay their stars, but not without a lot of chaos, not without a lot of headache. I mean, they add a lot of stress, a lot of undue stress to their own team. I was reading something today where DeMarcus Lawrence said that, if you're not prepared, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said if you're not prepared for the things that the owner says on this team, I mean, if you don't have thick skin, you can't play for this team. Why would a player? It's hard enough. I've never played professional football, but I got friends or, people I went to school with made the pros and have talked about some of these things about being professional football players. I've heard other professional football players talk about it. With as much mental, not just physical, but mental strength that it requires to play this game. You're already facing the opposition. You're already facing the fans of other teams. You're already facing your own fans. Why should you have to fight your own ownership? Why do you have to deal with your ownership writing checks that they don't have to cash? They have to cash. You get to cash the checks they're writing, but they also take their, it's like they say, well, since we're paying you this much, you ought to be able to also deal with our mess. Patrick Mahomes ain't dealing with mess like this. Teams aren't, a lot of star players aren't dealing with mess like this. The Cowboys not only battle the teams that they face, they not only battle the people that hate them, they battle their own ownership. And for me, this takeaway, I'm watching it unfold tonight with Trey Lance. They put him on that stage. And I don't have a problem with them putting him on that stage, but we know that as we're watching it, we're not just evaluating, as fans, as people who are going to write and talk about this. We're not just evaluating it based on, okay, is Trey Lance any good? No, we're looking at this because we know that Jerry Jones has, in a sense, an affinity for Trey Lance, but he's also trying to use him in his negotiations with Dak Prescott, and everyone knows it. And Jerry also wants to prove that he didn't make a mistake, but he did. I don't think the mistake was getting Trey Lance. I think the mistake was giving up a 4th-round draft pick for Trey Lance, of which you could have actually used to even strengthen your team even more. Jerry and Steven, they are terrible GMs. And the problem is they won't fire themselves. They're terrible GMs. And they may have helped Trey Lance in some respects, but in other respects, they hurt Trey Lance. Because now there'll be people even more critical of him. They will be talking about him even more. He's not ready. And I already know how Cowboy, the Cowboy writers, they can't say a lot of things they want to say. I saw where one wrote that even though he threw 5 interceptions, do we not understand that there are quarterbacks in the preseason who have been cut for better play than Trey Lance, better play? If he was another quarterback, he'd be cut. He would be cut. But Jerry and the people who write for him, because they can't say the truth because they might not get to write for him any longer, might not get the report. But the truth is, Cowboys overspent for Trey Lance. They overspent for Trey Lance. And they're getting exactly what they deserve. They're looking foolish once again on the grand stage because they do things deceitfully. They look foolish. And other people, they can give them a break, a pass if they want to. But this move is the epitome of why this team never going to win. It's amazing to me. They could have got Bobby Wagner last year. Wouldn't have to even give up a 4th round draft pick. Could have paid him along the same lines as Trey Lance. I mean, you think about it. They could have got Derrick Henry. How much do y'all bet that the Tennessee Titans, they can say what they want to say? Derrick Henry wasn't on the trading block. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But teams are smart. They knew that Tennessee was about to have a fire sale and let go of a lot of players. And they were not about to give up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round draft picks for Derrick Henry, let alone pick up his salary. But the Cowboys, bet you Tennessee would have took that 4th round draft pick. Bet you they would have took it. And the Cowboys could have got Derrick Henry and probably not had to pay a lot of money and really strengthen this team. Nope, didn't do it. People can tell me anything they want to. But Jerry and Stephen Jones took a gamble. And it was a gamble. Took a gamble on Trey Lance because they want to use this young man against Dak Prescott. And that leads me, takeaway number 5, Trey Lance. None of this is Trey Lance's fault. Trey Lance, while it's fair to critique his game, it's fair. But the part to me that's not fair to Trey Lance is the hype that Jerry Jones, or the way Jerry Jones is trying to use or try to use Trey Lance. That's the part I don't like. Trey Lance needs a lot of work, and people miss me. I saw what somebody wrote earlier. Yeah, he threw 5 interceptions, but we saw flashes. Stop this. We've had quarterbacks who were cut that had better play than what Trey Lance had. Is Trey Lance athletic? Is he an athletic quarterback? You better believe he is. Trey Lance needs work. And that's not his fault because of his athleticism. He got into the NFL, I believe, way too early. He didn't play enough college ball. And it showed when he got to the pros. I mentioned it before. He didn't really beat out Garoppolo, but they gave up so much for him, it was his time. He got hurt, but even when he got healthy, I don't care what anyone says. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. He was drafted as the last player in the draft. For what I've given up for Trey Lance, I'm still going to play him, or at least give him that last opportunity to see if he can be who I want him to be. But I think Kyle Shanahan, he gets all he wanted to see. And I think he realized Trey Lance needed more work. And because he's chasing a Super Bowl, he wasn't willing to give him more work, give him more time and more work, especially once he saw what Brock Purdy was doing. Let's think about Brock Purdy. He played a ton of college ball. So when he got to the pros, he was a little bit more ready to play. Now, he's looked terrible in the preseason. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this season. I'm really interested to see how he plays this season, because I'm going to tell you something. Brock Purdy, let me put you on notice. Kyle Shanahan did it to Trey Lance. He did it to Jimmy Garoppolo. He will do it to you. You got him to the Super Bowl last year. And if you can't get him beyond, if you can't get him back, let's just say this, hypothetically speaking. What if Brock Purdy does not get the San Francisco 49ers back to the Super Bowl? The bar is high. Purdy literally went to the Super Bowl. The bar is high. What if he falls off a cliff this season? Because I can tell you something about the NFL, man. Once they get tape on you, you don't look the same. I'm so interested to see how CJ Stroud look. I love CJ Stroud. I'm interested to see how Brock Purdy looks. Because once they really get tape on you, really get tape on you. And Brock Purdy, last year wasn't his first year. He got, I'm thinking, to the NFC Championship game first year, Super Bowl this year. So the next step is to win. But what if he falls back? Next year, he's eligible for a contract. And guess who steps free from the Dallas Cowboys? Y'all can tell me anything y'all want to, but I promise you, Kyle Shanahan can do work with Dak Prescott. Kyle Shanahan could do work with Dak Prescott. But I digress. I'm just saying all of that because Kyle Shanahan wasn't willing to put in the work or give Trey Lance that time to develop. And so the issue is for Trey Lance, he needs more time to develop, but the clock is ticking. He's 25. Trey Lance is 25 years of age. He needs another 2 years to sit behind someone. And I believe, because he's 25, I really believe, and what I hope someone calls Jerry Jones tonight, tomorrow, or Monday morning. I hope someone calls and says, Jerry, we'll give you a 3 or a 2 for Trey Lance. Because we want to rebuild our team. And we want to give Trey Lance 2 solid years of starting. And we're willing to grow. We're willing to take the growing pains. We're going to build a team around him. We're going to give him a 3-4 year deal. We're going to put a team around him, and we're going to see what he looks like. Because while I think it would help him to sit 1 year, I also think it would help him even more. Don't go to a team with these high expectations. Go to a team that can rebuild around you, that can put players around you. That's what I'm hoping for Trey Lance. I don't want to beat Trey Lance down. I am going to make a video showing a comparison about not Trey Lance, but I want to show the hypocrisy of Jerry Jones. That's what I want to show. I love Jerry Jones, the owner, but Jerry Jones, the GM, Stephen Jones, the GM, they stink. They absolutely stink. They need to start letting someone make football decisions and not them. Because I'm telling you, I don't think there's any way someone makes the football decision that Trey Lance just automatically makes the team, give up a 4th round draft pick, and pays him $5 million. You're talking money and a player that you could have used somewhere else, but you've chosen to use it on Trey Lance, which I don't have a problem with them bringing in Trey Lance, but they could have got Trey Lance cheaper. I believe the Cowboys really could have got him cheaper. They could have got him for a 6th round. Again, Trey Lance is being done a disservice. Because the Cowboys can tell me anything they want to. They can say whatever they want to. But they did not bring him in as a project. They did not bring him in to develop him, sit him on the bench for 2 or 3. That's not what they're doing. They're not trying to do what Jordan Love. Jordan Love was way younger. Trey Lance is 25. You let him sit another 2 years, he's 27. That's not what they did. The Cowboys are disingenuous. They brought him in as a bargaining chip, and they know that they did. They brought him in so Dak don't sign, we got the future. We're going to strong-arm Dak into giving us a team-friendly deal. You failed. You failed, Jerry Jones. You failed, Stephen Jones. And the collateral damage is Trey Lance. It's Trey Lance. I'm praying because I think this young man can have a future. It's just not with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, Trey Lance, if he's just looking at what they're doing with Dak and CD, Trey Lance should just sit quietly behind Dak Prescott, continue to learn, and when the season is up, run for the hills and don't even give the Cowboys an opportunity to negotiate. The only way you do is if they're the only team calling. Trey Lance, they won't be the only team calling. Get away from the Dallas Cowboys. It's my team. I love them. But get away from the Dallas Cowboys. See what else is out there. Because what they have done, they have used Trey Lance. And in using him, they've exposed him to criticism that he should not be. I'm not saying as far as his game, his game is open game to be critiqued. But he's being critiqued even more because of the situation he's in, because everyone knows it. Jerry tried to use him against Dak Prescott. Praying the best for you, Trey. I hope you get an opportunity. I hope someone like the Raiders, they call up Jerry and say, I'll give you a 2 or a 3. Yes, is it a little high? Yes, but it's extremely high. But I believe when you look at what the Raiders have at the quarterback position, unless they're going to wait it out and see if Dak Prescott comes available. If you really want to build, I think you could probably build with Trey Lance. And I'm sure there are other teams. If there's a team that's willing to start rebuilding, you could build around. You could build with Trey Lance. But the Cowboys, they're not in that building state. They're in win now state. They're in that win now state. Because if I'm CeeDee Lamb, no, I'm not. I don't want to sign with CeeDee I don't want to sign trying to develop Trey Lance because I need the ball. I need to put up stats. Because if I sign a shorter contract, I want the opportunity to be able to get another big contract, whether it's here or somewhere else. If I'm Micah Parsons, oh no, I'm coming up on contract next year. I'm trying to go to the Super Bowl. We're right there. We're right there. We're going to pick up some of this slack for Dak Prescott. You go get him a running game. We're going to pick up some of this slack, and we're going to win this thing with Dak Prescott. If I'm these types of players, no, you're not about to do this, Jerry. We're not rebuilding. We're right there on the cusp. Let's go get a player in free agency. Let's do this. And let's see if there's another team that'll pick up Trey Lance and give him the opportunity that he really needs, because he needs playing time. And even though he's learning while he's sitting, he still needs playing time. So it would be better if there's a team out there, and I'm sorry, I'm definitely taking, and no offense, but I'm taking Trey Lance over O'Donnell and Minshew. Oh, there's no way. I'm taking him today over those two quarterbacks. So Raiders, you might be waiting on Dak Prescott, because I'm thinking right now there's a good chance Dak Prescott walks away from this deal. But I say, call up Jerry. Trey Lance might be what you're looking for. You might look up in if you let him play this year, because you're not going anywhere this year. So you can just let him play this year. You never know what he looks like by the end of the season. And then by next season, you're ready to go. But I'm hoping that's what happens to Trey Lance. I'm hoping that's what happens to Trey Lance. So I'm going to do a whole nother video about this Trey Lance issue because I'm telling you, the Joneses did this man a disservice. This is not just about money. I know people say we got paid. It's not just about getting paid. I mean, we got to get back to a point in this society where everything isn't just about business, but integrity, morals, and these things are once again a factor. But that's my 5 takeaways again. Ryan Flournoy, Deuce Vaughn, the Cowboys draft well. Jerry and Stephen Jones stink as GMs. And Trey Lance, he needs more work. That's going to do it for me. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts.